Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to go live.
Nice. Proud of you.
NBA DFS picks tonight. They're not tonight.
Okay.
Now it says we're live at 9:41 a.m.
Now it says that we're live. It should say.
We have one person watching. It's me.
Nice, dude. Yeah, now we're live. All right. Share, copy link.
Oh, Amanda's calling me. Hold on real quick.
Okay. I can't put it on pause.
You're fine. Hi.
Sorry, we're about to stream. We're gonna stream quick and then we're. I know. I'm sorry. I was talking to my parents and doing some stuff. I'll text you now. Yeah, but I mean, it's okay. I will. No, let me. Can I call you after my stream? All right. Yo, I'm coming.
Hey.
To stop at Amanda's house because she forgot stuff. It's always fun.
Ah, that's how it works.
Yeah. That's how it works. That's how it works.
All right. Let me go ahead and load the chat here.
Dude, my neck hurts so bad. Oh, man.
What's going on, guys? What's going on? Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Actually, before the stream starts, guys, I want to hear your predictions. Go ahead and fire your predictions into the chat. I'm kind of on the fence still.
I think the Pats win.
You think the Pats win?
Oh, they're not playing. Sorry, I'm so used to
That's contrarian right there.
just thinking the Pats are playing.
Same with the Jags. Yeah.
Yeah, you wish, pal. Yeah, you wish, pal.
All right, guys. Obviously a short slate. TJ has to go shortly. Hopefully he'll be able to stay for the majority of the stream, though. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to talk about last night. Last night, I do apologize for not going live on YouTube. We're still figuring out how to get TJ to stream on YouTube by himself. It's just like it's technical stuff. So, but if you guys did tune into Periscope, I tried to stay in there a little bit longer while TJ was streaming. I went over and I posted my thoughts on the slate. TJ did a great job at manning the fort. Obviously gave all my favorite plays. If I was in there, I would have agreed with everything he was saying. I gave...
Can we go back and
not recommend Trae Young?
Not take Trae Young?
Yeah, he wasn't a bad play. I'd still stand by the Trae Young play. Obviously, we're looking at stats. We're not looking at opinions. He got off to a slow start and then got injured, so all that kind of hurt us. But with all that being said, guys, I didn't mass enter as I normally do for GPPs. I did a single entry, and I gave a little bit of my thoughts on the slate. I said I was going to go stars and scrubs, and sure enough, I put Brokoff in there as my flyer, 3.98%. If you guys see on the screen here, I took TJ's advice, plus I threw Brokoff in there, and then I got Lillard and Trae Young in there. I kind of hedged the ownership there because I knew some people would go Trae Young, some people would go Lillard. Anyway, it got really far into GPPs. It's just funny the way the lineup turned out. It's just like one guy sucked, the other guy snapped, the other guy sucked, the other guy snapped. It was just a nice mix. But with all that being said, guys, hopefully you guys had a good night as well. So just wanted to talk about last night's success. We did hit on everybody but Trae Young. So it's just one of those things. You just, we take hard stances. Sometimes they don't work. We're not perfect. But with all that being said, TJ, I want to go ahead and talk about the slate in just a moment. Also, guys, if you haven't already go ahead and enter the Discord chat. We talk all day, every day about the slate. Whenever I have a chance, I update my favorite plays throughout the day. I updated the link in the description, so go ahead and enter that Discord chat. Again, we have a lot of people talking the slate as we speak right now. Hopefully, a majority of you guys are in this chat right now. Again, it's just like the chat, the YouTube chat. So just offline. So TJ, what are your thoughts
Hi.
on this slate? Thanks for holding down the fort, by the way, last night.
You are welcome, Matthew. What do I think about this slate? I think it's just your typical 3-game NBA slate. It's actually a
A
lot
lot
going
of
on.
chalk, a lot of chalk, and a lot going on. A lot of
Yeah,
sleepers.
yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and just start talking about this this Houston game, since that's where the chalk will be, or at least the chalk pay up options?
Yeah. So again, we have no. Actually, you know what? You know what I want to bring up real quick. We have no Capella again. When did they play? It was the third. It was against Dallas when we didn't have
Capella.
Capella, correct? Yeah,
Yep.
that's what it was. Yeah. So the Rockets rolled out an 8-man rotation. They started with PJ Tucker at center. I Oh man, I really love James Harden tonight. I think or today. I keep thinking that it's tonight, but we're starting at 2. I really like Harden again at 11-2. I think he is a cash lock for us. Averages 1.82 fantasy points per minute with Capella off the court, 5.2% usage bump. We saw it last game against Dallas. He didn't shoot very well, but he filled the stat sheet, and that's kind of what we're looking for, especially with Capella out. I feel like a majority of the rebounds kind of going to go to him a little bit, him and Westbrook. And I definitely don't mind going up to get both Harden and Westbrook today in cash, especially with the news that Giannis is playing. I definitely think that's a viable option with Westbrook at 10-2. Gets a little bit of a usage bump at 1.6%, averages 1.51 fantasy points per minute. So I definitely don't mind a Harden Westbrook stack in cash. If I have to take one, I'm going to take Harden again today, like we did on Friday night. But I definitely don't hate both of them. I also like Daniel House at 4,100, getting 33 minutes, averages 0.78 fantasy points per minute. And again, I think it's kind of a toss-up between House and Tucker. They're priced so that word's going to come up.
Their price is the same, right?
What?
Their price is the same, right?
Yeah, they're priced about the same.
There you go.
I'm not saying similar because that's the word that I can't pronounce. They're priced about the same at 44 and 4,100. I think it's a toss-up each time they play, depending on who's going to do what. I'll save the 300 and take House over Tucker right now. But if you take Tucker over House, I don't hate that either. And then I don't really have any interest in Eric Gordon or Austin Rivers or Ben McLemore. If I'm taking one of those guys, I guess I would take Ben McLemore as a GPP play. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at for Houston right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with Houston being at 126, which is another really high over-under here against the Pelicans, a lot of these guys will carry a decent amount of ownership just across the board, even starting with somebody like House or Tucker, just because of the over-under. You're going to see a decent amount of ownership here in GPPs. I'm going to start out by saying I do like House over Tucker. I know Tucker might slide down to the center position. I think he's just more productive from a fantasy point per minute perspective, and plus the ownership isn't very high in House right now, so I do like him for GPPs. Of course, like you guys already know, right when Capella's ruled out, you guys know where your mindset's going to go for James Harden and Westbrook. We really like James Harden here. 48% owned in GPPs. Like you said, he's going to be a cash lock for sure. I do not mind him in GPPs. I'm going to be slightly overweight on both these guys, Westbrook and Harden in GPPs, just because one of these two guys will have a monster game. The other guy, hopefully they do. They both do. Hopefully it goes over 126. But again, these price tags are priced towards that 126 over under. So I do like Harden. I do like Westbrook. If I had to pick some GPP plays, I actually don't mind Austin Rivers here. He's projected at 28 minutes. Again, GPP only. Do not play these guys in cash. And like you said, McLemore's the more productive of the two. They come out to 5.6 on my sheet here. So, if I'm going to prefer minutes here, I'm going to take a stab at Austin Rivers. And I have no interest in Eric Gordon here. If he's carrying any ownership in GPPs, I probably will avoid him. But yeah, I completely agree with you with Westbrook and Harden. They're both cash viable options. But again, we have some hidden values here that we have to talk about with the Phoenix picture being messed up without Rubio. So, yeah, I completely agree with you there. I think I'm going to be overweight on all these guys here in Houston for GPPs as well. For the Pelicans, do you have any interest in the Pelicans?
Definitely. I mean, that 121 over-under is definitely enticing. If I'm going at one guy, it's probably going to be Brandon Ingram again at 7,100. The fact that he's priced below Zion is kind of crazy to me. I understand Zion's production so far since he's been in, but I'll definitely take Ingram over Zion. So I definitely don't hate him at 7,100 today against Houston in that huge over-under, especially with their team total at 121. Mm-hmm. I don't hate Lonzo Ball at 7K as a GPP play today either. I'm going to keep saying tonight. It's not going to stop. But yeah, I definitely think out of these Pelicans, because if we're gonna stack the Rockets, I always like to come back with somebody on the other side of the ball. And for me, it would be Brandon Ingram in cash. I don't know if I'm gonna get to him in cash, but he would be my pick. And like I said, I definitely don't hate Zion in GPPs. I definitely don't hate Lonzo in GPPs either. But Ingram's definitely the guy that I'm focused on.
Yeah, I think Ingram's going to be a solid pick here. His price tag keeps going down, and I get it because the usage hasn't been there. But again, he hit 38 and 36, even with Zion playing near 30 minutes the past 2 games. So he still hit value in both those games. You got to keep in mind it's a pace-up spot for them as well. So Brandon Ingram, if he's carrying that much ownership, it'll be interesting to see if I'm going to be overweight or underweight on him in GPPs. 36 is almost, it's creeping up there to half the field. So I'll be interested to see where my ownership goes. I'll talk about him in a little bit after we cover the Suns, because obviously we need to catch up on that. But Derek Favors, obviously an underpriced play here, 5.5, 5.3K, playing 25 minutes. I mean, he rates decently on our sheet. He's in a good matchup here without Capella, so it could definitely be a nice GPP play at 2%. I don't see why not take a stab at him maybe. Josh Hart, next best up. Strictly GPP and Zion. I know all the hype was Zion, but if you look at his previous games, 35, 26, 39 the minutes, it's just kind of iffy there at 30. It kind of limits his upside. I get it's an over/under, but 7.7, I'd much rather go to somebody like Ingram here. Zion, strictly GPP if you want to take a stab at him as well.
Yeah, I think if you have the opportunity, the only thing that scares me about Favors obviously are just the minutes. They've just been dwindling ever since Zion came back. Last game he played 20 against Memphis. But if you can ever get somebody on a 3-game slate at 2%, like why not take a chance?
And it's like he's hovering around his value even when he only gets 19, 23 minutes. So let's say that he does play that extended run. Maybe they're trying to take advantage of Capella not being there. There's always that shot. So at 2%, why not take the shot in the dark there?
Jerry Christmas is trying to help me pronounce the word. Jerry, I'm not even going to try, man. I appreciate it, but that's the word that I've given up on.
All right, I think you started computing values for Phoenix. You have a better understanding of them than I do?
Yeah, I did it.
I'm going to go ahead and do that on stream here real quick.
The one thing I had to do to kind of give myself a better sample size on these guys is I kept on Cameron Johnson.
Okay.
So I have Rubio off. I have Aaron Baines. I have Kaminsky. I have Saric. I have Ty Jerome. Obviously, we have now entered into Eli Okobo Chalk Day.
Have fun.
Yeah, at 3K starting, there's no way of getting away from him. It's kind of just like what we had with Dennis Smith Jr. last night, who is just atrocious, by the way. He had value, but still, he's just ugh. But yeah, so if Okobo's starting, especially in a game that's blowout prone, like I still think he gets minutes no matter what. So I'm definitely going to be locking him in cash at 3K, getting 27 minutes, and again, getting the start. I think that he's probably the chalkiest play on the slate now. So definitely somebody that you're going to want in your cash games tonight. But with these high price guys like Devin Booker, I love Booker tonight now at 8,700. Gets a 5.8% usage bump with all those guys off the court, mainly Rubio. Averages 1.56 fantasy points per minute. So I feel like the slate is really good for guards. And of course, we only have 4 spots for guards. But the one thing is we have Serge Ibaka, who's in a fantastic spot that only has center eligibility. And we also have Brook Lopez at 3.9 that's only center eligibility, that only has center eligibility. So if you're looking to put Brook Lopez and Serge Ibaka in your lineups, you only have 3 guard spots open. So you might have to make a stand between Harden and Westbrook, or only be able to take 2 of Harden, Westbrook, and Booker, because I definitely think you need a Kobo in cash. So it is tough unless you don't want to take Ibaka and Brook Lopez. You're going to have to make a stand somewhere, especially at that guard position. But yeah, I really like Booker. Ayton rates out well. Averages 1.2 fantasy points per minute, so I definitely don't hate him. Oubre rates out fantastically at 6,400. Should see high 30 minutes, gets a 3.8% usage bump, averages 1.23 fantasy points per minute. So I think all those guys are cash viable. I like Booker and Oubre over Ayton, but even like Tyler Johnson at
I was just looking at him.
3K, getting 23 minutes, gets a 5% usage bump. Obviously, he's going to get an uptick in minutes because Rubio's out. I expect him and Tyler Johnson to run point. So he averages 0.91 fantasy points per minute, so I don't hate him. And then like we talked about Okobo, who's getting the start, averages 0.91 fantasy points per minute. So I mean, all those guys I mentioned are really good plays, and so I'm definitely going to be attacking the Suns. The one thing that stinks is obviously they're playing the Bucks. So that's obviously the scary thing. The Bucks could easily smoke these guys. Every single time we're in this type of game, I feel like we talk about this, and then the team that shouldn't win wins. So I feel like that's a common theme for us, but it's definitely a pace-up spot for the Suns. I mean, the Bucks are the fastest-paced team in the NBA, so that's definitely interesting. Suns ranked 10th. So I definitely think if the Suns can keep this close, it's going to be a shootout. So I'll definitely be stacking this game in GPPs, but I definitely think there's a lot of cash value on that Suns side.
Yeah, before I talk about the Suns, guys, thank you so much for the support. If this is your first time to the stream, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell. We want to make sure that we always give you guys an edge before every slate. We do this before every slate, a majority of them, unless I have things to do on the weekend. But guys, a majority of the slates we go live before lock to help give you an edge. Of course, to break down any late breaking injury news that does happen. So in regards to Phoenix, dude, the more I look at these Suns, the more I love them for GPPs, first of all. I want to see how the percentage ownership just affects it. But these guys could be really nice pivots as opposed to somebody, like if you're looking for a value play in house, maybe a nice pivot here would be in Phoenix for value. I really like Okobo, obviously. There's no getting around that. I know Okobo isn't a good basketball player, but if you're talking about
terrible,
if you're talking about somebody at 3K, and 27 minutes, I mean, if they do keep this competitive, he has to be on the court. And even if it's blowout, he has to be on the court. Like, they have to have some guards on the court, right? Kelly Oubre rates fantastically on our sheet here at 6.7 at a mid-K or a mid 6.4 price tag, 37 minutes. All these guys are going to get minutes if they want to keep it close versus the Bucks. Devin Booker, as we know, is like pretty much blowout prone unless they're losing by 40 points. I mean, these guys are always on the court. Phoenix is, not a very good basketball team. I mean, they've been getting better, but they obviously usually keep their starters out in the court. So people like Booker, 36 minutes, Oubre, 37 minutes. These guys are all really they have really high floors for tonight. Regardless of their over/under, 109. It's been bouncing around between 109 to 111. So I like all of these Phoenix Suns tonight in GPPs. I'm going to be overweight on these guys. I'm going to see how the percentage ownership kind of shakes out here. But, I mean, like you just said, all these guys are fantastic for GPP plays. Absolutely. And with the thin rotation, I don't hate them at all.
I mean, yeah, Okobo's terrible, but a guy starting at 3K getting 27 minutes, I think he's a lock in cash, unfortunately. It's not like I'm excited to roster Eli Okobo, but...
I mean, and he's got... What is it? 0.96 fantasy points per minute in the sample size. So I mean, yes, he's not a good basketball player, but he's actually productive. I mean, he's going to try to get up shots there. He's going to try to show that he deserves a starting role somewhere. So I mean, 0.96 is obviously he's playing for his career. So he's been in and out of the G League.
Yeah, he's a G League player. Yeah, and the one guy we didn't touch base on was Mikal Bridges. I liked him a lot more before Rubio got ruled out. But I just don't think he's productive enough. Like, I get he's only 4K and we needed some value tonight. So if Rubio was in, we were struggling to find some value there. We were pending the Giannis news, but with Rubio getting ruled out now for Phoenix, I'd rather play Tyler Johnson and Okobo over Mikal Bridges. I know the minutes are going to be there for Bridges. I'll definitely have some stabs at him in GPPs, but he only averages 0.63 fantasy points per minute. So I know he should carry a decent amount of ownership, but for cash, I think I'll be fading him, especially now with this Rubio news.
I will say this, a nice pivot too is somebody like House in that same exact price range because of the high over-under. Obviously, he's going to get more chances for rebounding and stuff like that. So I do like a nice pivot for GPPs. Somebody that looks to be low-owned in GPPs is Daniel House, so that could be certainly a good, nice little pivot there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and shift over to Milwaukee. With Giannis being out, are you interested in anybody from this team?
Brook Lopez, definitely at 3,900. That price tag is pretty wild. I mean... Like I just kind of gave my spiel with the whole. I kind of jumped the gun just because I was looking at my own lineup. I mean, as long as Brook Lopez gets like mid 20-ish, high 20 minutes at 3.9, I definitely think he should be able to pay off this price tag. I definitely think he carries some ownership tonight. I like the matchup against Phoenix. So yeah, I definitely like Brook Lopez at 3.9. That kind of popped out on the page. I was not expecting him to be that cheap. I mean, he was 4.6 against Denver, and now all of a sudden he's 3.9. So it's just kind of crazy that his his price tag dropped pretty significantly. So yeah, I definitely have some interest in Brook Lopez. But when it comes to the Bucks, I don't really have any interest in any of these other guys. Obviously, I don't hate Giannis at 11K, but I'd rather go with Harden today for GPPs at 11.2. I could see myself pivoting off of Harden and going to Giannis in a GPP. But besides Brook Lopez, I don't hate Dante DiVincenzo at 4K either. Averages 0.9 fantasy points per minute. But for cash, I'm solely looking at Brook Lopez, whether or not to roster him at 3,900. And like I said, for GPPs, I like Giannis. I like Dante DiVincenzo. I don't hate Eric Bledsoe, but I don't know how much of those guys I'll actually have, just because they could easily blow the doors off of Phoenix, and that means more run for Pat Connaughton, Robin Lopez, Wes Matthews, guys coming off the bench, Sterling Brown, what have you. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I will say this about the center position in general. There's so many different options usually on even bigger slates, but this small slate, there's so many different options at the center position. It might be a good idea not to fade Brook Lopez, but maybe go even with the field and see where you can get other exposure. Like we just mentioned, Ayton's going to be a fantastic play. Daniel House, does he play center? Okay, not Daniel House, but somebody like PJ Tucker.
Yeah,
would be a fantastic pivot for GPPs. Let's just say that Brook Lopez gets in foul trouble, right? I mean, that opens up so many different opportunities with these other good plays at the center position. I'm definitely saying he's a good cash play. I'm just saying as far as GPPs go, there's so many options tonight for the center position. Even we just talked about Derek Favors, so you never know. Could outscore Lopez easily. So, yeah. I just want to say that about Lopez. With these other guys, I'm not too intrigued with anybody. Like you said, Dante's a nice little play here. Giannis, I mean, I still like the pay-up option here with Harden and Westbrook. I'm probably not going to go Giannis. I'm going to have a limited amount of exposure to him. I get it. He's in a pace-up spot here, and he's obviously the best player on the slate. But, with these other opportunities opening up for Houston, it's a higher over-under. I do like the Houston players better. I think we're going to go that route as well for cash. All right, last game, Chicago and Toronto. Do you want to talk about Chicago real quick?
I do. My guy, Tomas Satoransky, is way too undervalued again.
Mm-hmm.
We actually rostered him for cash against Brooklyn at 4-6, played 31 minutes, got us 34.5 DraftKings points, hit like 8 times, almost 9 times value. So he was awesome, and I'm staring at him again at 4-5. In a matchup that I'm not very too interested in against Toronto with that over-under, because obviously my eyes are glued to that 247 over-under for Houston and the Pelicans, and then even the 230 over-under in the value for the Suns. The 217 over-under is something that I don't love, but, we have Wendell Carter out, we have Markkanen out, we have Porter out, we're pending Gafford, but now we have Chris Dunn out, so that just gives more of a bump to Tomas Satoransky. Averages 1.02 fantasy points per minute with all those guys off the court. He's way too cheap. I kind of think his ownership might go down a little bit just because of this Okobo news. But I definitely still really like him at 4-5. I'll definitely be overexposed to him in GPPs. I had him in my cash lineup before the Okobo news. But like I alluded to, it's tough to roster the 2 centers that you might want to get, and then you can't have 4 guards. You only need 3. So if you're rostering Harden, Westbrook, and Okobo, you can't fit Satoransky. So it is tough to try and figure out if I want him in cash or not, but I definitely love his price tag at 4-5. I don't hate Zach LaVine. Gets a 3.8% usage bump. His price tag's come down a little bit, back down to earth a little bit ever since he was 9.8 against the Spurs. Back down to 8.4. I think that's definitely a more appropriate price tag for him. If they can keep this game pretty competitive against Toronto, which I don't expect, but if they can, he'll definitely see those high 30 minutes. And I definitely don't hate him as a GPP play at 8,400. Gets that, like I said, the 3.8% usage bump, averages 1.17 fantasy points per minute, which is a lot lower than I actually thought for somebody like Zach LaVine. Yeah. But he doesn't rate out too bad on our sheet. Not a cash play for me tonight, but definitely a GPP play. And yeah, I mean, those are really the only 2 guys that I was really looking at. I don't hate Kobe White, but I don't love him either. It's Satoransky, it's LaVine. Those are the guys that I'm really looking at right now.
So just like I'm just gonna drop a little bit of knowledge on our chat here. So when somebody has a high usage like Zach LaVine and they have a low fantasy point per minute output, or lower than it should be, usually means they don't do too much with the ball when they have it. Like he always touches the ball, he always has the ball, but that means he's missing a lot of shots. He's not getting his assist to finish, in the lane with when he does his passes down low or something like that. So that's usually what that means. So Zach LaVine, I'd be curious to know what his like field goal percentage is on the season and how well he's actually, because last season, dude, he was a monster even with his usage. But anyway, I just want to kind of get that out of the way. Thomas Satoransky, yeah, I think he's the only viable option. I think he still might be cash viable. It'd be interesting to see what kind of happens with all the salaries here. So I'm gonna go ahead and crunch my numbers after I get done talking about this game. But I want to see how Satoransky's ownership is kind of affected by the Okubo, obviously being chalk. Another good player that I don't know if you mentioned, Hutchinson. Did you talk about him?
Chandler Hutchinson, no, because we don't have the solidified news on on Gafford, so that's pretty big in terms of like his Hutchinson minutes. And Felicio. So that's kind of what I was waiting on, but unfortunately, I don't know if we'll get that before lock. But yeah, if Gafford's out and Hutchinson at 3-4, like I could definitely get behind him for GPPs.
Yeah, Hutchinson does rate well on their sheet. He averages close to a fantasy point per minute here at 23 minutes. So another really low-owned guy, and especially going to go lower-owned now with the Okubo news. So I don't mind Hutchinson at GPPs, but strictly GPPs. All right, Toronto, the last team here. Some more hidden value. TJ, you want to go ahead and kick it off?
Yes, I do. Serge Ibaka. My cash lock of the night. I'm assuming everybody else's. He is a fantastic play at 6'2". What are you laughing at?
Your comment.
Oh, my comment in the yeah.
Sarcasm. Don't do that.
Sorry. Yeah, that was sarcasm, guys. Yeah, no, I definitely love Serge Ibaka. I think he's going to be super chalky in cash. I think he's a necessity of a piece today at 6'2". Obviously, we don't have Gasol. I just, his price tag has come down from 7-1 that he was in Cleveland 2 games ago. He's now at 6'2". Should see, low to mid 30 minutes. And I definitely love him as a building block today in cash. Absolute smash spot too, especially if Gafford's out. These Chicago bigs have just been getting torched. And they're so decimated with injuries that you got a guy like Luke Cornett down low trying to cover Serge Ibaka. No chance. So I definitely love Serge tonight at 6'2". I will definitely be rostering him in cash. He's definitely in my core. And then some of these cheap guys I'm definitely interested in, like Chris Boucher and my guy Terrence Davis, both of them at 3-3 and 3-2. If Terrence Davis actually can see those 20 minutes, I definitely love him as a GPP play, kind of a sneaky GPP play in this matchup against Chicago. Right now he's projected at 21 minutes. I feel like he's always projected at like right around 20. Last 2 games, he's played 17 combined. If this game gets out of hand, though, which it definitely could, I definitely like Terrence Davis to play those 20 minutes, maybe 22 in a blowout, maybe 24. I don't want to get, too over the top, but at 3,200, he's averages 1.01 fantasy points per minute with all these injuries. We don't have Norman Powell. We don't have Gasol, like I stated. So I definitely will be overexposed on Terrence Davis and GPPs. But when it comes to cash, it's Ibaka. Ibaka's a lock, and that's all I'm looking at for cash.
All right, guys, before I talk about Toronto, thank you so much for the support. If this is your first time to the stream, please hit that subscribe button. We do this every single night. We help give you an edge all the way up through lock. We know a lot of these other streamers don't do it all the way up through lock. They usually do it about 2 hours in advance, but we know that all this late-breaking injury news does shake up the slate, starting with somebody like Rubio here tonight. So again, guys, do appreciate the support. Please hit that subscribe button. Please ask any questions you have into the chat. We will get to them, guys. We have about 20 minutes left, so we'll get to all your questions here pretty soon. So with Toronto, yeah, I completely agree with you. Serge is still showing at 50% ownership in tournaments. I don't know how that's going to change here coming up, but I do believe he's still going to be very high owned in cash. I do like Serge Ibaka tonight. Obviously, he does bode well on our sheet. He benefits well with the injuries, with Gasol out. And then Terrence Davis, yeah, I think 21 minutes is... Oh, he actually went down in minutes here a little bit. So...
Did he?
No, 21 was right. 21 was right. So he averages 1.01 fantasy points per minute with the current injuries off the court. I know it's a bad matchup, but that makes him an even better GPP play. Not many people will be looking at him. Obviously, don't look too much at matchup when you have that many people off the floor, and he does shift into the role or into the the rotation. So I do like him at 21 minutes as another GPP option. Guys, there are so many GPP options, which is why I broke down my 150 lineups, which I'll bring up here on my page.
I don't think that Terrence Davis is necessarily a bad matchup.
Yeah.
I know a guy like Dunn is very good defensively, so that definitely helps us out there with the Davis matchup. So I don't really think that Chicago rating out third against guards is accurate with Dunn being ruled out. I think, like I said, that helps us, and especially in a game that could get out of hand for Chicago, I think that means a potential of more run for our guy Terrence Davis. Tucker is starting at center again for the Rockets. That's such a crazy lineup.
All right, guys. So as I stated on my screen here is going to be our favorite plays, some of our favorite plays, but I'll touch base on whether you should start them in cash or GPPs because there's a lot of hidden value tonight. So I will go ahead and just run over it real quick. TJ, chime in when you feel like I'm giving some wrong information here. So Okobo is our favorite cash and GPP play. Guys, he's going to be productive. He's going to have to be productive. It's just one of those players you just kind of have to plug in and never look back. It's kind of like Dennis Smith. He should hit value, and of course he has some upside there. So Okobo is going to be a very good value play. Of course, there's a ton of value play. So if you guys want to pivot, maybe in GPPs, I would not avoid this guy in cash, though. Kelly Oubre is going to be a nice GPP play. Maybe one of your last fillers here in cash. We do like Kelly Oubre. Very undervalued with all the injuries off the court. James Harden is going to be a staple in your lineup. Obviously, with there being more value on the slate now, obviously he's going to drive up the ownership on somebody like James Harden for a pay-up option. We do like James Harden tonight in both GPPs and cash. Brandon Ingram's going to carry a decent amount of ownership. He could be cash viable. We'll see how well. It'll really depend on how well all the salaries kind of mesh together here. Serge Ibaka, another great cash play. Devin Booker, Ayton, more GPP plays, but we are very high on Booker and Ayton. Satoransky still here showing a high ownership, could be cash viable as well. TJ, what do you have to say about that?
Yes, love it all.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing's really changed with the Okobo update on ownership, but I fully expect him to be super chalky starting at point guard. So somebody asked why he's a good play, but it's solely because Rubio's out and he's getting the start.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't avoid somebody like that, guys. I know it stinks because he's not a good basketball player, but the stats say otherwise. I mean, 0.96 is not bad with all these guys off the floor. So, again, if you guys need a salary saver, if you need more value, of course this is going to be a stars and scrubs kind of lineup for me and GPPs. So, if you can shove people like Okobo, you can shove people like Satoransky, Hutchinson in there. Tucker, I'm not against that whatsoever. Terrence Davis, as we talked about. So, a lot of my lineups will look like that. Of course, guys, this is the main part of the stream. I show you guys, kind of give you guys a recap of our favorite plays. Somebody didn't talk about Daniel House looks to be very low owned here, so I do like him for GPP. I love Daniel House tonight for GPPs. Of course, he has a very high ceiling with the over-under being as it is.
I also think House carries some ownership in cash too, but I definitely like him.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's always a toss-up between him and PJ Tucker. I feel like one guy does good, the other does bad.
Yeah,
and
so
like, hey,
play one or the other, and then the other lineup play the other one.
Right.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and go through some questions here. Booker at point today. No, it's going to be Okobo, right? DJ, can we confirm that? Yep.
What?
Yeah,
Yes.
Booker's going to be playing shooting guard.
Yes.
Okay.
He always does.
Next question. Okobo lock in cash. Yes, he is a lock in cash.
Yes.
Bridges is getting ownership today. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options within that mid 4K range. I don't hate Bridges, but I do love people like House. So, I mean, you can go either way. I do like House. I do like PJ Tucker, especially starting at the 5. I like Okobo. Again, all those guys are good options instead of Mikal Bridges just because he's not that great of a fantasy point per minute player. But, yeah, I mean, Bridges isn't a bad play, especially with the thin rotation. Do we need Ingram in cash? That's a good question, TJ. Do you need him in cash?
I like him in cash. I don't think he is an absolute necessity now with that Suns news of Rubio getting ruled out. I kind of think I'd rather go to Oubre over him. But I definitely don't hate Ingram in cash. I'm going to try and get him in there. But like I said, I think I'd rather go to Oubre now. But if I can get Oubre and Ingram, then perfect.
I agree with all that. Yeah, I think these Suns are very sneaky, and like I said, even in cash, I mean, they could definitely draw some leverage. So like, if you have a very chalky lineup, maybe throw some of these Suns in there for some low owned guys. Not talking about the Kobo, talking about people like maybe Booker, Ayton, or Oubre as your low owned guys for cash.
Mm. Hmm.
If I have Westbrook and GPP, do I go with Harden or Book? I will say this. Usually, two guys won't go for 80 points on the same team. So if you're gonna play Westbrook, bet on the ability he's gonna get you to something like 70 or 80 DK points, and then Booker would be the other guy that's gonna smash on the other team. I don't hate both of them in GPPs, but just know that your other plays you're kind of banking on hitting value and then some, more so.
Yeah, I agree, but I would say that if there are two on a team that are going to get you 70, it's going to be those two menaces. So especially in this over under. Before that news broke about Rubio, I was doing my best to roster Harden and Westbrook today. I don't know if I'll be able to do it now, unfortunately, but I am trying.
Giannis question mark. Giannis is kind of fallen by the wayside as far as our favorite picks. I do like, obviously, Giannis being the best player on the slate, but he's just not going to carry that much ownership, I think, anymore. We do prefer people like Harden and Westbrook as pay-up options in both cash and GPPs today. Booker or save for Oubre? I like both of them. Oubre rates better on our sheet, I'll say that. I do like Oubre more than Booker tonight. But not by much. Not by much.
Yeah, I like Booker and Oubre. I think I like Oubre a little more just because of the price, but I like both of them a lot. If they can, it's all about them trying to keep this game competitive, though. If they get the doors blown off, it'll be tough for Booker and Oubre.
JJ Redick question mark. That's a good question. 20 minutes, 3.7. Again, we know Redick is strictly just a shooter. He doesn't really do much. I don't like the minutes there. He does have high upside with the over-under, so he'd have to really hit all of his shots to really make sense. Maybe as one of your last GPP options, but I'm not in love with Redick tonight. I think there's a lot of better other value plays.
Yeah, I mean...
You mean what? You didn't finish your thought?
I don't know what I was going to say. About, I mean, I know we love to take shooters in these type of games, though. That's the only thing I'm thinking. So I definitely don't hate Redick as a GPP flyer, but agreed. I think there's better options out there. But hey, if this is a game that Redick might get hot and play 25 minutes, I think it's this game where they're going to need scoring.
Yeah, definitely. But I would just recommend him as like one of your only GPP options if you have somebody that needs to be low owned. Plug and play him. Is Siakam a good play? That's a good question. I think Siakam, with his price tag being so high, is definitely more of a GPP option. I don't hate him. I think he's in a good matchup against the Bulls bigs. Maybe a GPP option. I don't hate him. He has a high ceiling with the over-under being at 113 for Toronto.
His price tag's starting to get back up to where it was when he was playing those high 30 minutes. So that's the only thing that kind of scares me. But yeah, it's definitely a really good matchup against Chicago, and he'll definitely come in at pretty low ownership, especially on a 3-game slate, which is nice. So I wouldn't mind taking a stab at him.
Booker, Oubre, Okobo, okay to play in cash. Okobo, yes. I would play... I don't hate either one of those plays. Maybe not in cash. Again, I have to wait till the ownership kind of comes out to see what I'm looking at in cash. So I keep refreshing my page. TJ, do you have a better understanding of the ownership? Has it been updated? No. Oh, I think it has.
No, but I think you go Oubre right. And cash over Booker. I think that's the safer play. I think Oubre will carry a little bit more ownership because the guard play, there aren't as many guards as you can roster today if you are doing the double center with Ibaka and Brook Lopez. I kind of think Brook Lopez might fall out of the picture a little bit here.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah, but that's... Oh, man, I'm so scared of rostering Okobo. He's so bad.
Okobo, a GPP lock. Depends on what you mean by lock. If you're saying overexposed, yeah, not a bad GPP play. I wouldn't put him in the 100% of lineups.
For GPPs, I think I'd even rather go Tyler Johnson just to be a little bit more unique. Even with 5 minutes less, I think he's definitely a more productive player.
Yeah. What's Okobo's ownership? We don't have word on that yet. Guys, if I had to give an estimate for GPPs, I'd say around 50%. I think with it being an obvious value play, but there being so many different value plays, maybe 40 to 50. Probably closer to 50. That's just using intuition again. I'm not a mathematician, but I think, based on experience here, I think about 50%.
You are a mathematician. Why are you lying?
Somewhat. All right, what's Akubo? No, I read that. Akubo's so bad. Not a question.
It's a statement. Fact, though. Akubo's so bad. Fact.
Tyler Johnson's in two. Sadaransky question mark. Yeah, we touched base on Sadaransky. So no, I know a lot of these questions are older, but for the guys joining us, I want to make sure that we're covering all of our bases here. Sadaransky, yeah, we do like him as a good play. Of course, with him,
undervalued.
Yeah, way undervalued, and with the over/under being the lowest in the slate, I think he makes for a good GPP option as well. I don't know if he's cash viable at this point. He might be. I'm kind of on the fence about Sadaransky, whether I like him in cash or not.
Yeah, he's definitely a fringe cash play, but regardless, he's undervalued at his price tag, especially now with Dunn being out too. Pretty tough matchup, but I still definitely like Sadaransky. Before the Rubio news, I had Sadaransky in my cash lineup, but fixing some things around now with Akubo being a really good play now. It's starting for Phoenix, so I definitely like Sadaransky though for GPPs and potentially in cash. If you land on him, I don't hate it.
Bledsoe, a good GPP play. I'm going to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of other options that are better than Bledsoe. Of course, if it's one of your last spots, he's coming at 3%. I know it's a high over-under, so maybe. But I think there's better options than Bledsoe. Greek salad is in. Somebody dropped a Greek salad comment in our Discord. I was laughing about that.
I'm going to answer this one real quick. The favorite low-owned Raptor, I would say Terrence Davis.
Yeah, Terrence Davis is definitely our favorite. All right, guys, thanks for all the support. Of course, before we go on and answer more questions, thank you so much for the support, guys. If this is your first time to the stream, please hit that subscription button, guys. We do this every single time before lock. We help break down all the injury news, and of course, we use stats. We don't use opinions. We're not like these other guys that are just going to go in and say, "Yeah, I like this guy because he's good at basketball." No, we do it because of their fantasy point per minute output, and we like people because of the rotations, and we do all of that analysis, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We want to see you in the chat more often.
Steve, I definitely like Chris Boucher as a GPP play too. So
yeah,
I kind of think I like Davis a little bit more. But I like both of them at their price points at 3.2 and 3.3. Definitely should get a little bit more run too against the Bucks, especially. Against the Bulls, especially in a blowout. If a potential blowout.
All right, I'm gonna answer this question. Is anyone here from Osimo? No, nobody's here from Osimo. Get out of here if you are. All right, get out of here. Can you go Terrence Davis instead of Akubo? GPP, yeah, sure. I wouldn't go Terrence Davis instead of Akubo in cash, though.
Yeah, I just think if Akubo's starting, so just take the guaranteed minutes, take the starter. I mean, as frustrating as it is as Akubo being in the NBA, not only that, but someone that should be in the G League. But, you just gotta take him in a game that he's starting and should see mid 20 minutes at a min price. And because even in a blowout, he's going to get run, so.
Lopez GPP. So Lopez is coming in at a decent ownership. I'm going to say, yes, he has a high ceiling, but there's a lot of options at the center position. He's just coming in at a high. If you're playing single entry, sure. But again, like if you're playing multi-entry, like I said, you might want to match the field on somebody like Lopez just because there's so many other options. He's coming in at 43% GPPs. I don't like that ownership. Lopez is a great play in cash. Fantastic. 26 minutes, 3.9. He's very undervalued. But, like I said, the center position just has so many different options on any given night, and especially today with all this value opening up. You could definitely match the field, maybe even go underweight on Brook Lopez, and I'd be fine with that. All right. Pascal, good GPP pivot. Yeah, like I said, Pascal's not a bad GPP option. Van Vliet or Lowry in GPP. I think Lowry's a better player at 7.3. It looks like Van Vliet here's at 6.9. I would probably go somebody like Van Vliet just because of the ownership. He's going to be very low owned. What's up?
Van Vliet's 7.3, Lowry 6.9.
Oh, you are right. Yeah, I would go Lowry then. I think he's more productive.
Yeah, I agree. I like Lowry.
Looking at that backwards. My bad, guys.
You good, bro?
Sorry if I missed this, but Westbrook or Harden, if you had to pick one, Harden's the more productive one without Capella on the court, and obviously last game was a good sample size of that. If you guys saw, he went for 75 DK points. I do like Harden if I had to pick one, but I do like both of them.
He had 75 DK points and was 10 of 25 shooting, which isn't great. I mean, 40% is good, but not one of his best shooting nights, I guess. And I think that's a good. That game against Dallas is a pretty good sample as to what we might get against the Pelicans too, especially with the score. I think it was 128, 121 or something like that. So I definitely think that game could definitely have not the same exact score, but something similar.
Who are some good single entry GPP plays? I went over this not too long ago. Actually, do you know what? Let me refresh my page. I'm gonna refresh ownership, see if I get lucky here.
I can give a couple that I like as a potential single entry guys. If you want to, like Tyler Johnson at 3K, I don't hate that as a potential salary saver at for a single entry. Satoransky, I like him at 4,500 for single entry. I think he'll carry a decent a low amount of ownership. And then I don't hate Terrence Davis too at 3,200. I think those are all guys that you can salary save in a single entry, get them at pretty decently low ownership, and then go up and get somebody like maybe Devin Booker who won't carry as much ownership as Harden or Westbrook.
All right. I'm sorry. I was hearing Kawhi laughing in my ear, guys. Thanks for the subscriptions. I really do appreciate it. Kelly Oubre, very good GPP option. I like Devin Booker. I like the Suns in general, as we stated. I like Satoransky. He's coming at 20% here. I like Daniel House a lot. Those are some good GPP options. Those are some of my favorite ones. I like Hutchinson too, of course, if Gafford is out. But I think staples, guys. Staples like James Harden has to be in there. Like even if you're playing single entry, Akobo has to be in there.
Yeah, one of those two of Harden and Westbrook.
Yeah, see, there's another thing. So Serge Ibaka's playing center, and then Brook Lopez is also playing center. So you're going to see a lot of lineups with Serge Ibaka and Brook Lopez in the utility, or vice versa. So again, like that's like nobody's even looking at somebody like Favors. Nobody's looking at somebody like Ayton. You know?
Ooh,
what's up?
Chris Dunn sprained MCL. He'll be out for a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Also, Kyrie's out for a week. I saw that. That was recent.
Poor Kyrie. Oh.
All right, am I missing?
That's my bitterness.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I mean, he was about to go to the Spurs at one point too. So,
I wish you took him.
I don't think Pop would have kept him very long. Thanks for the subscription, guys. Whoever that was, thank you so much.
Probably not.
All right, any more questions, guys? Feel free to fire away in the chat. Of course, we have about a minute left, so before I have to go and make my own lineups. Again, the Kobo's ownership is not projecting here on Roto, probably because they don't really know either. Again, if I had to project, I'm probably around 50% in tournaments.
Yeah, so I'm gonna touch base real quick on my cash locks tonight,
sure.
Or today. I think Akobo starting at one of your guard positions is a lock. I think Serge Ibaka is a lock. I'm stuck between Harden and Westbrook. I'm going Harden. I think Harden's the play, and I really like Kelly Oubre as well at 6,400. I love Thomas Satoransky too at 4,500. I think that's way too cheap of a price for him. Matt touched base on Daniel House. We definitely love him tonight at 4,100. I really like Brandon Ingram at 7,100. I really like Brook Lopez at 3,900. And if I can get Harden Westbrook, I'm going to try. I don't think I'll be able to do that, unfortunately. So I'll definitely be rooting for Harden today opposed to Westbrook because I think that's the way I'll be going in cash. But I think Akobo, one of Westbrook and Harden, I guess I can put it like that. Ibaka, which I just drawn a blank, and then either House or Satoransky. I think those are all cash viable guys that you'll see in the lineup that I'll be posting for members. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Gafford will play.
All right, so that stinks in terms of your Hutchinson play.
I mean, I still don't hate him if he's getting 23 minutes, but yeah, I don't like him as much.
Right, exactly. Yep.
It's 1:31. You want to go ahead and sign off here?
Yeah, I gotta go do this and then take off.
Awesome. All right, guys.
Real quick, Bledsoe or Zoe for GPP. I'd go Lonzo. Honker.
Yep, I think I agree with that. More upside. All right, guys, thanks so much for the support. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the Discord. Feel free to drop it in Twitter. Feel free to ask it, in the chat whenever you guys are available. Again, guys, thank you so much for the support. If this is your first time to the stream, we will see you tomorrow, right? We will see you the next day and then the next day. Of course, we do this every single day before luck. So to recap, favorite plays of Kobo, Oubre, GPP, Ibaka's one of our favorite plays, Booker, Ingram, James Harden, Ayton, Satoransky, Daniel House. All right? So, with all that being said, TJ, do you have any last words?
Good luck. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. And I love you.
All right, getting real personal there. I love you guys too. All right, guys, have a great Super Bowl Sunday. And with all that being said, guys, let's cash.